that was a little journey to get live. Hi, I'm Cinnamon Cooney, the Art Sherpa, and today I want to continue to show you how to paint a Selkie. On the mic is my husband, John.
Hello.
He has been dealing with our technological challenges and basically all things related to the many cameras and technology in the studio, and also reading your comments and keeping up with you.
The technologies.
If you have never heard of this before and are wondering what this blue-haired woman is talking about, this is part of it's a more advanced art class. We get more into the nitty gritty of what is art and how technique works and materials. And we're doing this really fun series on fairy tales. We're on part 2 of painting a Selkie. This is a type of like ocean mermaid that's seal based from Ireland. They're really cool. My daughter's super into them. So they made the list for
The
this year,
list.
mostly is what it is. And we are going to be adding some seal pups or seals to her. Today, we're going to be blocking in the dress so we can get those nice fabric folds and blocking a little bit of skin tone and values so that we can start doing the detail stuff later. Panda. Who was it, Panda?
Yes.
So I intended to answer this because, again, we answer like more of these like arty nitty gritty questions. Panda was asking about in sales, should they pre-wire painting for sale? And can I emphatically say yes? So having been a veteran of craft fairs and art shows and galleries, what I will tell you is that collectors are looking for every reason to not bring your artwork home. It's a really interesting psychology, right? Because it's very hard in today's world when you think about how hard it is for us to feed ourselves or have money for a medical emergency or all of that. It's very hard for people to necessarily say, all right, I'm going to buy some art and that's going to be okay. And so it's interesting because there's this, I love this piece, it speaks to my soul. And then there's this, but my soul doesn't put food on the table
Mm-hmm.
kind of dynamic that goes on. So what you as an artist want to do is not have anything that helps them resist it. So a lot of what I counsel artists that are building up a collector base to do is to one, present the artwork as if it has a very high value. Because let's be honest, the duct cotton with the gesso and pigments, even if you everything was cadmium and lapis, the monetary value of this medium is not that much. It's an agreed upon exchange, but it's arbitrarily in our heads, right? So you want to raise that perceived value of your work. So presentation is important. How you hang things, how they relate to each other. These things are actually psychologically very important. Yes, you want to wire it because you don't want somebody like, God, I got to figure out how to hang a painting. You don't want them to stop that. And let me tell you, I support framers. I think that's a wonderful business. And I know they went through so much over the 80s and 90s. So this is not anti-framer at all. But the thing is that it's expensive to frame. And there's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
good reasons why it is, but it is. So if somebody's not going to necessarily go in and pay a framer or even their local Michaels or Jerry's or Dick Blick, who have framing shops in there to hang it, and they're going to get overwhelmed by hanging it. You definitely don't want that to be a reason. And the other thing I would definitely say is you want to have the work finished and ready to go on somebody's wall, but you don't want to make decor choices for them. So I'd like to also add, if you're not just painting around the edges of a gallery wrapped canvas, if you have work that has to be framed because it's a watercolor, because it's a pencil, maybe traditionally you just like to mat and put behind your work behind glass, or you like a molding around your canvas, um, be as neutral as you can be. Be as have it for sure. Have it like super neutral. Like I swear if I could find one that wasn't even a color, I would. Just because people have a lot of really strong decor opinions, so you have to make them feel like they can just go home, put a nail in the wall or command strip and get this thing up. But you don't want them to be like, I really hate your molding choices. That gold filigree is the most, I'm literally quoting somebody, the most horrifying thing I have ever seen. And you should be ashamed of what you've done here to this art. So, you know, just because and a framer actually teased me as being the worst picker of moldings in the universe.
Oh my.
And I learned that. Like I've got to just be neutral. Like what's fun for me. I'm a bit gaudy, which we now call gaudy. I'm a bit gaudy in my design sensibility as hair and all the stuff going on. And a lot of people aren't. So just don't decorate people's houses, but don't give them any reason to say no. Um, And I have a whole bunch more on that, but that's my answer to that. Let's get into the painting today.
So I'm curious.
Hmm.
So what is it? I guess we're the results of when you mix Gaudi and Dadaist. Yeah.
Yeah, we are. With a little bit of Southwest art. Anyhow.
And you gotta have some coffee, and then there's some sherbets, and then
Yeah.
look, it's a party.
So you're going to notice what I had originally meant to talk to us about right off the bat is I
Mm-hmm.
have 3 different kinds of paint here that
See if
are
this
out.
button works.
I have Artist Loft Level 3, I have Holbein Acrylic, and I have my Golden cadmium red light. And I'm going to give you the rundown about the differences between these paints. Some of these colors I haven't used before. Like I haven't used the Indian Yellow yet. I think I've used the alizarin and it's been pretty good. So here's what we've got. The Golden is got a heavier body than all of the paints. It has no shrinkage. I mean, as it dries, it is what it is, and it just dries. The pigmentations are very, very heavy, and the packaging design is really smart and intuitive for artists. I love this part of it here and everything here. Holbein does a similar thing here. You can see this is zinc, so obviously it's not really supposed to cover the dots, right? These are both metal tubes, and they both have caps I hate. Holbein has less drag on the brush. It has a different range of pigment. They're very good pigments. Generally, I'm always switching between these two brands depending on what color formulation I like. This actually has turned out to be really a surprise in my life. Um, and as you can see, they've done a lot of the smart packaging, but the caps are... This is not sponsored, by the way. I'm just... Because you guys know I'm looking at this. I'm just keeping you up on this because I get a bunch of questions. So I'm actually answering a bunch of questions that came in. This is slightly less pigmented than the Golden or the Holbein. And when I say slightly, it's like when I get into the quinacridone, I can see it, but the Golden is so saturated that it's kind of okay, right?
Yeah.
Yes, the synthetics are obviously all transparent, but you can see that. Look, they did the swatches. So far, I've purchased a lot. We've gone in. John's got a bunch. We have a bunch of tube cadavers. And so that's where we're at. There's less drag on this. There is some small shrinkage as it dries. It's still heavy body and it still holds the impasto just a little bit, a reduction. Not enough that it would put me off in a painting because I can just pop a heavy gel in it if it's a real big issue. So that's where I'm at so far. I am really liking this white. So Golden is still like my go-to white, but dude, this tube is so nice that I don't know. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This cap thing, it's like for people who are just problematic with caps like me, has been a real joy. So that's where I'm at. I'll keep letting you guys know as I'm testing things. We're getting into more and more of the colors. But so far, I have been pretty happy that I'm just adding it to the paint box. I'm not throwing Holbein out of my paint box for any reason ever. And I'm not throwing Golden out of my paint box for any reason ever. I mean, like, honestly, both of these companies could probably be pretty buddy to me and I would still paint with them. I would just be like, well, fine. It's not like you can see me in the store. But do you see this here, how there's a crack now in the tube?
Oh, yeah.
Because of the way I am not careful. I'm not precision and I'm not careful. Because of that, I damage these metal tubes.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a problem. If you're not a problem, that's not something to think about. So I have really appreciated the resilience of the tubes. I have not done any light testing, but luckily for me, the ASTM does. These guys, but the ASTM, and I believe this is toxicity, and it might be hue, but if I remember the numbers correctly, I think they're related to hue and toxicity. But you can like literally go on the website, and it's the worst website ever, the ASTM. Worst website ever. But once you learn how to use it, it's so informative about so many things. If you're wondering, like, why does she know so much about silicone? Because it's on the website. So this is what's going on. All right, let's get into our girl. How are we doing this week? I know that was really strange. If you've never watched the show, we don't normally monologue that long, but we had a lot to cover, and this is the show in which we cover these things. I'm going to put out some purple because I'm going to be painting all the folds of her fabric using a contrast. Look, I haven't even gotten into the diox, so we're going to be testing the diox today. Right, so here I am testing the diox. I'm going to come right here. Oh, that's nice. It comes right out. It's not chunky. It's not. Diox can get weird sometimes. Have you guys noticed that? Like, if the formulation is like remotely off, it's like cottage cheese.
Yep.
pH is not perfect, and it's just gone. I'm going to put out my Indian yellow, which you're going to see I don't think I've popped this yet, so there we go. Put that out.
So Angie
Hi,
was saying,
Angie.
she says, save the caps from the Artist Loft or Liquitex. They should fit on golden or Holbein.
Yes, that is absolutely true. Because I don't know the Holbein actually. I haven't tested it, but I could probably test it right here. But for sure, yes. I am.
We have a bucket of caps.
Struggling with that particular company that you mentioned right now so much, just because of I don't know. I'll make a video about it later.
Yeah.
I'm putting out some zinc. I have a big rant to get into. Yeah, that John Wick thing I mentioned, they definitely hit the John Wick thing. This is the cadmium yellow by Artist Loft, and I'm using it today mostly because I'm just out of my other cadmium. I still really love the golden cadmium yellow, but this has been really good. Okay, so I've got these out. Let me get my ochre and my titanium, and this is what I'm probably pretty much going to be working to get the folds in her fabric. And I'm excited to be doing these. Hope you guys are excited too. See how I'm just a hot mess with how I squeeze my tubes? But, like, these aren't even gummed up on me yet. And I can't tell you how, like, this is as much as I've been able to gum it. And if you know me at all, as John does, and you have to strip the tubes, this is pretty great. Okay, and I'm going to put out a little burnt umber, which you can see I have used. I think this is my second tube of this. Look at me not freaking out. Because it's not semi-permeable to the skin. As far as science knows. You guys ready?
I think so.
I'm such a weird duck. I got a weird hair thing going on today. I can't tell which way to flip my hair is what it is.
Your hair matches your necklace and your shirt. I just noticed you're sort of metallic-y, metal-headed.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, let's paint something.
Let's paint something, yeah. I did not mean to be that much of a butt. All right, I'm going to do this thing. What we're going to do, we're going to go through the process of blocking in. And blocking in is about where we start assessing some basic values and some things. And I think I'm going to put my reference photo closer to me so I can really see it. And I probably am going to, like...
I got a big reference.
Yeah, John has a big reference. I need the...
Yeah.
So, you don't need to see my face. You're good.
Well, when you're doing the close-up, it makes it easier so that... Now, the problem is I think that my big... I'm going to move that. So just give me a second. I'm going to move that over a second.
Oh, okay. You do your thing. I'm going to... So when I'm trying to get this crazy putty color, I love this because this goes into my basic space. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pull my Diox into my brush and I'm going to work it back and forth into this brush. This is a number 4 Cambridge Bright. And that means that the bristles are mixed with synthetic filaments and that keeps it from getting too mushy on us as artists. And now I'm going to work this into my yellow ochre, which you're going to see is actually getting us into that range of our crazy putty color. It's a crazy putty color, isn't it?
It's a little putty.
It's a little bit putty. And I'm going to go ahead and get my burnt umber. Is everything okay, babe? You came over with such purpose. Let's pull this out. I'm liking that. I like that. It's such a surprising color. I've done whole paintings in this color scheme before. This is my titanium white here. My burnt umber, my titanium white, my yellow ochre, my cadmium yellow, my Diox purple, my Indian yellow, and my zinc white. Should get me through most of this. Right? Most of it. Let's continue to do this. And I'm going to tone this now that I'm looking at the color. I'm definitely going to tone with a little bit of their black. Listen, I know this is carbon black, and I'm just out of black right now. I'm going to use this. You guys can use Mars black. It's for the purposes of this at this stage is not going to impact you deeply.
Okay.
So that's just something that you guys need to know. You're okay. So I'm going to use this to mute this down.
Mute it.
Shade it down.
Don't shade it.
Yeah, we're going to give this some shade.
Oh, man.
This is a really challenging color to mix, and that's kind of why I chose it.
I'm just joking around, guys. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, no, he's not. We're fine. Marriage is fine. Don't write us crazy letters.
Or do.
Write us.
Yeah, do write us crazy
You know what, actually, if it makes you feel better to write us some
please,
very personal and strange letter, have a blast. I don't want to stop you from whatever helps
I
you
wonder.
be happy.
So
I'm
you're
gonna what I'm gonna be doing is I'm gonna be finding all the shadows in the fabric, and I'm gonna try to kind of as best I can duplicate the shapes. This is a slow and somewhat tedious process, actually,
yeah.
to be really honest. I think there's a few artists out there in the world that work through this pretty quick that are really strong tonalists, but for the most part, the regular human versions of us are going to just work
Ah,
through.
the tonalists.
Now, in acrylic, what I like to do is I like to find not the darkest shade and not the lightest shade at first. Like this would be my
Actually,
lightest value on my fabric in this range. And like right here and here might be the darkest. I'm going to be picking the one next to it.
I'm just gonna actually leave it like this because you got a nice picture-in-picture for us.
Do I?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I mean, I need what I have, so that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. So I'm going to bring this up here. Just pulling these little basic values, and then I'll have to just keep building and building and building, and that's really what we're going to do. We're not going to try to get it to its fully realistic finished place today. We're going to just try to get her blocked in the way we got the background blocked in. And I just want to point out that what I did here, if you're seeing this chalk here, is I'm trying to remind myself where my seal bodies are going to be, and they're going to be living seals. They're going to be nothing, no sad story here. But so I was like, what's the scale of the seals that I'm wanting? And believe it or not, they're like this weird torpedo sushi shape.
Hmm.
And they have these like little weird round circles as heads. And then they're like painting a tube, a
Sharks
very
think that same
movable
way.
tube. Huh?
Sharks think that same way.
Yeah, they do. They feel like they're Tootsie Rolls as well. That's really terrible, but also true. All right, so yeah, I'm just coming here and I'm just looking for my darker values. I'm going to come up into her bodice. I see a pretty nice one right here.
Now, Lois said that she read Color by Victoria Fenley and really enjoyed it.
I'm so glad if this book, man, did it not just change how you saw the world, Lois? Lois, tell them what you thought of that book because
It's pretty cool.
my mom actually found that first, and then I read it, and it just changed everything. It should be required reading for art school, just required reading. Like they don't give you a degree in art in any way until you read that book by Victoria Finlay.
Do you feel that strongly, Sherpa?
I feel that strongly. But I'm the kind of person that call your university and say you need to take their degree back because they're being foolish.
Now, before you got on that,
I've never done that, but I fantasize in my head. Yeah.
we should have made sure that you were going to put an affiliate link in before we did.
Oh, it is. It's in the bottom. Okay, so if you go down in the description, there's the first 3 lines you can easily see, and then you got to open it up under more ... Whether you're on your phone or your tablet or your computer, right?
Not
so
that book though.
No, the book's there. I always have the book there.
Really?
I feel so strongly that this book is in
it is.
every
Okay.
one of my modern listings. And it
Okay.
is, if you want to understand what I'm talking about pigment, you want to understand why I'm saying there are those who have it and those that don't, and that the history of pigment is the history of man, it's the history of us, and it will change how you feel about art and your paint, and it will make the whole thing a sacred, magical experience as you look at your paint box. And she's the one who got me into that. What's in my paint box? I think she made it magical it's like, I'm going to tear up. It's like getting an invitation to go to Hogwarts. That's how I feel about this book.
Okay, so I was totally going to heckle her.
I don't know this woman. She could hate my guts. This is the most unbiased opinion that is biased, but it's not biased by anything other than I just think, I could put every book down there under an affiliate link, right? I just want you to be able to find it and get the title, and that's the easiest thing to do there. So, this is how I feel about this book.
Well, I was going to totally give you stuff for not having an affiliate link, but look at you, you're totally on the ball.
No, I feel that strongly about that book.
I get
There's
that.
a couple books I feel like you as new artists, you just have to have, and I put them in the description.
I see that. Yeah, there's a couple books on there.
I try not to, I understand we all have budgets, and I don't want to overwhelm you guys with feeling you got to buy this, you got to buy that, blah, blah, blah. And so I don't always necessarily get up on every soapbox that I have, but I have very quietly kept that in my description so those that need it have it whenever they need it.
You've kept that soapbox close to your heart.
Mm-hmm. There's just a couple books I'm just like, you got to have as an artist. You
I get
like they're
that.
not a want, they're a need, and then there's a bunch of books that should be a want, but you know.
Yeah.
I'm just going ahead and finding the shadow right here. John's like, I think John is just like, well, I knew you had feelings about the Victoria Finlay book, but dude,
That's exactly where I was. I was like, whoa.
she's a she's a feeling it.
I
You
did
can
not know.
already see the bust starting to come out as I'm shading. By the way, if anyone knows Victoria Finlay and you're just having a funny moment now, you can tell her I think she should be paid to speak at every single art event. She should be brought out at every NAMTA event.
Welcome to our events.
Yeah, she's welcome at our events. I will just give her a ticket to anything we're doing. I would. Her whole thing about she's the only person that knows anything about Indian yellow.
Probably not the only person.
The other people, and they've owned this because I've talked to them directly, admit that the information that they have on Indian yellow comes from her.
Really?
Yep.
Ah,
And
wow.
exactly who you're thinking would know? No, actually got that from her.
Wow.
Yeah. Because the whole art world thought the mango pea thing. Whole
Huh.
art world. And she's the one who's like, there's no proof of that. And actually, I mean, this is a woman who is, she's like the Indiana Jones of art. And I'm going to come right here. I'm going to add some little black shadows. I'm going to be working this space right here. She's like the Indiana Jones of art. And she actually went to India, went to all the places in the little bit of literature that's available out there. And she goes to libraries and she's like, just like Indiana Jones, she gets like the books that nobody has access to. I'm dipping my brush in a little bit of water. Um, and then she like proves that research is true or not. And then it's super exciting.
So I okay.
That you know what I spent the whole time watching the Turner movie feeling is that Victoria Finlay should have written this
What are you
movie.
mixing there?
Huh?
What are you mixing there?
I'm still mixing my yellow ochre a little bit of my burnt umber, a little bit of my Mars black, and a little bit of my purple, making this dark shadow color that I'm working here.
You're just blocking in the shadows
I'm just blocking in my shadows.
and chatting with our peoples.
Yeah.
It's a it's a Thursday afternoon getting some technical stuff working and we're just
And learning that I have a fangirl feeling about a woman named Victoria Finlay that maybe you had thought was going on, but now is confirmed.
That's right. This is
Fangirling confirmed. Some people like boy bands. I like some lady that runs around the world
scoping art.
scoping art. Just, she's the best. She should have written the Turner movie. They shouldn't make movies about art without talking to her. Opinions. All right, so I'm going to continue to come here. So we're pulling up these little different little marks and spaces, and I'm going to continue to just try to see these values as I can. As I can. Some of this stuff, it's a challenge to see what's happening here because the fabric folds are quite complicated, aren't they?
Yeah.
What I generally do is I get things sort of worked out, I get them thought about and then I come back and work very small areas. And I guess what I'd like to know from the community is how far into realism do you guys want to take this particular fabric? Because I know you guys ask me about fabric folds all the time.
Yeah.
You'll have to tell me what they say, Mr. Cooney.
I will have to wait and
Only
see.
those that show up get to influence the show. So if you weren't here and it went away you didn't want, I don't know why. I'm not that mean.
Everybody's still commenting on how much they have enjoyed the book. They are currently reading the book, or they have it on their list of things to get, or
Yeah.
wait, there's a book?
Should get the book.
Which all of which is happening.
I could have a book club about art books that are actually worth your money. I have so many art books and so many of them are I have so many opinions on art books that I could literally make videos about art book reviews. And then I could also have anti-haul art book reviews, like stuff don't buy, stuff to buy.
You know, I
That's how many opinions I have. You
I think
know you're into something when you're like, and these are the things I would never buy and why.
we could just have a show that says these are the things that cinema has opinions about.
About art. But unfortunately, opinions and you know what? So,
ears?
yes, let's go with that. I'm going to continue. You can see it's quite light up here, so I don't need that much of the shadow. I'm working in this space right now. I'm arcing this up, and I'm just really trying to pull this out. Something I want you guys to notice, right? I'm a person who's worked as a painter my entire life. I've been, I raised in it. I'm third generation creative, actually more than third generation if you count my dad's side of the family. I have a lot of artists in my family. The chances of me not having been an artist were pretty much none. It would have been an Alex P. Keaton moment if I hadn't been an artist.
A what?
Alex P. What do you mean, or what? Alex P. Keaton.
Oh,
Everybody,
I thought you said I didn't hear what last name you said.
Okay, I know the man's middle initial.
Oh yeah, I was just like,
I love you. I feel like I came at you really rough there.
I was like, whoa. I feel like I did failed the test.
I just had a nerd anger moment that I would like to apologize to my husband for and the world. I'm really sorry. If you don't know who Alex P. Keaton is, there's nothing wrong with that. But sometimes people who like Trek and comics and stuff like that, amongst ourselves, we believe there's a certain base level of knowledge that you have or you get the shrill voice.
I heard
and
peaking.
I just want to apologize for my shrill voice. I know you know. He knows. He was.
I was just like...
And I guess that was my Alex P. Keaton moment. So.
Right. Marriage is what brings us together. We've been here a little while.
Some decades and some stuff. Look, he knew who I was when he asked me. I wasn't one of those girls that hid the crazy. Maybe I did. I don't know. I feel like I shared it honestly, but these days there's no telling, right?
Look, Professor Judd called it. He was like, "It's a pretty girl."
Just say that to you. Gosh, I loved going to school at Prairie View because none of the professors did anything politically correctly. They just said it.
It was honest.
Yes, there's a lot of honesty, no political correctness. It was fantastic.
No, it was.
But you know what? There wasn't a lot of sexual harassment, so that made it okay. It was just a lot of humanity.
Yeah, I was appreciative of all the professors I had.
Yeah, they were amazing. I'm just trying to pull this value in here so I can build it up, and I think I'm going to be best served by putting this in here and maybe raising it. So that's why I'm filling this in, maybe stronger through here. I'm going through this process. Like you do.
Well, like you do.
Well, yeah, like somebody does. Somebody needs to do it. Now, I'm going to actually pull some Indian yellow through my brush because I feel like it's going to add something to this. It's got a lot of... This has a lot of green in it, I feel, and this has a lot of orange in it, so it'll be interesting to see how those contrasts play against these contrasts.
Oh, yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah. And there we go.
Contrast versus contrast.
Contrast versus contrast. Battle Royale. I've been watching a bunch of cooking shows, mostly because my youngest is really into like nerdy nummies. Like, who isn't into nerdy nummies? What an adorable, cute, sweet little girl is Ro. And but now she's found that there are cooking contest shows on Netflix, so that's my life now. Kids are so strange. I love them. Now you'll notice I'm not doing the lightest value. I'm picking a couple values down from my lightest value as I'm now starting to fill this in.
Are you?
Mm-hmm. What I'm doing. Because what we're doing is we're blocking. We're saying in this space is an object that has these little errant values that we are going to be talking about. And as we put in those values, you can already see that we're starting to get some fabric.
Yep.
It's just a process. Just a process. Art is a process. Talent is commitment to the process in an absolute unrelenting Terminator level commitment where you look for, Sarah Connor, your result. Like a machine. Sorry, I'm in a weird mood today. Got punched at you. I'm all weird.
I don't know. It was the internets.
It
I
was
started
like
it.
because I really wanted to work on some of my Hobbit stuff
You
today,
did.
and
We may still.
maybe I really want to. I'm gonna dip in water. I'm not using any of my glazing medium today.
Speaking of French, there was someone who's speaking French in the chat earlier
Is
saying
there?
there was. They were saying all sorts of nice things that I could
Well,
not pronounce.
who is it?
I don't. I. I could not say it. It was in French.
Was it a girl?
I don't know. It was in
I'm
French.
I'm gonna go. You can't tell by their name. What am I on you today for? Hold on a second. I'm gonna go give John a hug. I'm so hard on him today. Here, baby. I'm being a pill and I love
No,
you.
you're
You're
fine.
amazing. Painting. It's been a week. Continue to do this value out. Well, bonjour, madame, ça va bien? Or bonjour, monsieur, ça va bien? Because my husband doesn't know what gender you are.
I'd have to go back and. It's actually the truth. The honesty is that I
It's
forgot.
totally okay, John. I can be looking at the chat. I can't even see the thing without my glasses. I have no idea what's going on there. I have no right to be a bottom buddy butt about it.
It was very pretty.
Well, French is.
It was.
It's like their whole deal. They do pretty.
That's true.
And croissants. And other things too.
Debbie would like to know if I'm having a senior moment. I think I am a senior moment.
Ugh, we are all in a senior moment, I think. I'm definitely, I don't like, it's so funny. Like, I don't know why I'm so like goofy today. John and I, every once in a while, um, we get a little bantery in the studio, but we try to be chill on the show, but apparently it's slipping out.
It's true. We just.
Oh, I'm just adding the highlights above the bubbies.
Get to some.
The nanas, as I used to say when I was nursing the kids. Give the nanas some shading. Human beings are weird. I'm adding a little zinc white to this. I'm going to just continue on out. Oh, that could even be more yellow and lighter. Because the light's coming through it, so I'll come right here. Sort of work that out. Do a little more zinc white. Not zinc white, titanium white. There we go. Pulling this out here. Painting in these shapes, right?
Lori's saying she was having a hard time tracking because she was laughing a little too hard.
Just went a little sideways today. We're going to go back to being professionals because that's what we do.
Are we? Because you just got all quiet there. You're just like, oh, shh, 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 professional. You gotta be serious, serious Sherpa. Serious Sherpa.
I'm being serious, John.
I can tell. You've got your serious glasses on.
So we're watching this, I don't know, what is it, Sugar Daddies, Sugar Crafters. It's not Nailed It, and it's not How to Cake, it's the new one about sugar on Netflix. Does anyone remember the title of that? Anyways, we're watching this one, and we're watching episode 1, and there is this lady there, and she was so mad at her husband the whole time, and he just looked so horrified. The whole way he's like, I'm just gonna make some fun out. And I feel like I'm being like that with you today. I gotta chill out, man.
I'm trying. So,
I'm gonna just keep lightening and lightening this. Just pulling in these different values and hopefully catching the space. That was just a little bit lighter, so I can add it to a couple places that I'm working out its value. You can see it comes in pretty well, not quick. I don't want to say quick. This is why everybody time lapses on the YouTube. They're like, I need to like have a life, and I gotta go to like a club and date. So you have to have a time lapse. They don't talk like that. I'm not actually imitating anybody. I just make weird voices. John's used to it.
Okay, so I was trying to. Took me a second. I was tracking Lucy's question.
Hi, Lucy.
So on the background of this painting that you're working on,
Hmm.
there seems to be some lines on there. What were those from?
Oh, so the yellow lines that you see me working, what I do is because I understand that a lot of people don't draw, I work out the rendering, the drawing. One, because I'm not particularly fast, but I've done a bunch of it live, so people know like I'm not like I can actually draw. Um, but I do that beforehand, and then I create what's called a traceable, and then we transfer that to the image using Serral paper. Artists do this for a couple of reasons, even when they're very good at drawing. I would say I'm like like people that draw aren't like, oh, that's unfortunate, but I'm like not like the highest level of Hogarth rendering ever in the universe. Um, but the thing is media is expensive, canvases are expensive, painting is expensive, and drawing can take a minute to work out. So you generally work those aspects of your technical design out on sketches and on paper, and then in color studies and these other ways, and then you create what's called a traceable, and you transfer it on with what's called Serral paper or carbon paper. You can even rub like pastel, not oil pastel, chalk pastel, or graphite or something on the back of your canvas and get it on it. And so this is actually the yellow Serral paper, which is made for art like this. I just went into that too long, didn't I? I'm so sorry.
No, no, it's good.
I've been monologuing like a villain.
That that's what that's it's your
That's what the big art quest is. So
it
like
is, man.
for you guys, when we go through the lessons on YouTube very, very quickly, we tend to slow down during certain lessons. Like we do simple little things on our IGTV watercolors, right?
Some days.
Some days. But then on Watercolor Wednesday, maybe we do a more involved piece that covers more of the technical design elements of it. So if you've been needing that. And the big art quest really is about getting people through the mediums and the process, stuff like Serral paper, getting to know these products. We're getting pretty close. We got the dress in. That's going somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Now I think on her hair, I'm going to do the base of her hair. I'm going to use my yellow ochre and my burnt umber together. And I have to say, perfectly happy with this Indian yellow and this
Oh.
diox purple. This is fine. In fact, it's better than it's. I mean, I still love my golden diox, but it pulls into the purple a little easier.
Hmm.
So that's actually quite nice, and
What does he mean by that?
So some of the diox purples, have you guys noticed this from some of the brands are like this dead purple and you add white to it and it still doesn't even feel purple, but some diox purple when you get it it's like, wow, that's like the purple I haven't been able to mix with any red and blue I have.
Hmm.
Because it is actually really weird. True diox purple has no complement. There's a whole weird story behind it. Read Victoria Finlay. Um, but and watch everything she says and she should be on the TED. Maybe she is. We should all share it. But the thing with that is that some companies have a good docs and some don't. Golden does. I feel like Holbein does. I feel like there's just a handful of companies that really nail it, and there's those that don't. And you know who I'm talking about. Looks like dead liver. This is okay.
Hmm.
And this Indian yellow is totally fine. So if you're having trouble finding the Indian yellow, hey, you're okay. I just got that out of my brush too. I'm just gonna come in. I'm just gonna work. Now on her, I actually changed her hair, guys, because I'm doing a short hairstyle on her. We had talked about it on the first one. I'm going to do a short hairstyle. That's what I'm doing.
A short hairstyle.
Well, because I'm feeling inspired by myself. Not
Hmm.
usually that narcissistic, but in this particular case, I'm going to just enjoy that because I felt like it actually went with the idea of the seals and stuff like that. Like, whereas mermaids are like all about their hair, I'm going to get a little of my black and brown together and I'm going to do in the base of the necklace because I think that's going to be really nice for pulling up the shells on later. See, I'm just working. I haven't even changed the number 14. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
I'm going to when I do her skin tone blocked in, but if we don't get everything blocked in, we're never going to finish the painting.
You gotta block it.
You gotta, well, you don't have to. It's just a way to do it. You could do a tonal study. There's a lot of ways to get this in. You could do a fresh value paint that's loose and expressive. There just isn't the right and wrong of art the way sometimes people make it seem. Okay, so I've got this. I'm going to put this to a side, and I'm going to grab a number 2 Ruby Satin. And I have to make some skin tones. So I guess I'll put out some alizarin crimson. I'll do the base of the skin tone in with alizarin crimson. So I'll take my yellow ochre and my alizarin crimson together. I think they actually make a really beautiful skin tone as well. Just those two to start out. And then I'll just get a little of my white. Maybe a lot more of my white.
Mix it in.
No, that's got some beautiful pigment into it, and this I actually like better than my other alizarin crimson. Artists end up with paint boxes that have a lot of different companies in them, really mostly because as you're painting with different things, you realize, oh, this company got a really good source of ochre. Because there are ochre mines around the world. And when you read Victoria Finley's book, sadly, you will learn that a bunch of people were killed over ochre, which is super upsetting. I literally called some paint companies in that part of the world to make sure they weren't sourcing from in that way. I was like, please don't be doing that anymore because I will have to stop doing business with you so quickly.
Luckily, they all came back
They
with
all came
positive
back and they said,
answers.
oh no, we get it from this other French place. I was like, okay, that would be very good.
Yeah, it was. They all had the same reaction we did. They were like, "No, no, no,
No, no,
we
no.
don't want any part of that nonsense."
No, yeah, they were definitely like, no, no, that ain't cool. And it isn't cool. I'm going to add a little of my burnt umber to this to create a shadow value right here that you can see. I really like this as a skin tone.
I like shadow values.
Shadow fact. I got to pick shadow fact. Candle. Feel like I do. Hard to say where that's going to come out at. It's not quite cactus. It's Shadowfax and Gandalf. So I'm pulling this up along here because, of course, her neck would be more in shadow, right?
It would be shaded for sure.
It helps for it to feel like it's a real thing.
I
I'm going to just go
agree.
ahead and come up here, and a lot of this shoulder right here might be in this darker skin value, and this elbow part. And we're going to come up here, up the arm. And again, we're blocking in, so you don't have to be too really hard on yourself. You're just getting some values in. While you're here anyways, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're here anyways. You might as well paint the thing. Pulling that up. I made the shell a little bit bigger because I felt like it was just too precious.
Yeah.
Yeah. I may even add some spikes and stuff to it. It just was just like, wow, that's a really uninspiring little shell. Get a little more of my brown into my brush and work it through. A little bit of my burnt umber. Hopefully a bunch of you are having fun with this big art quest.
Oh yeah.
Hopefully you're loving it. I love it. And hope you love it. And remember, we're going to be continuing to add values, but we've got to get this coat of paint on and get this sense of where things are laid out to get to the next part. I'm going to get a little of my Indian yellow into my brush. Boom, boom, boom. Into that skin tone that I've got right there. Boom, boom, boom. And I'll go ahead and lighten it. I'm just wanting to warm it up for the sunlight that would be there. So I'm working it. Work, work, work. Work it. I love those of you guys that have been doing the bonus challenges in the Facebook group. You guys have rocked. Well, we're just doing little mini quests, little easy little deviances of things to learn a little more about our art process. There we go. Come over the same other side with this warmer skin tone that's in the sunlight. I've kind of painted out her bracelet, but that's because I'm going to probably put it back in on my own. Get a little bit of my zinc on there. A dip of water to improve flow. My studio isn't drying out so bad today, so I just really haven't needed any glazing medium. I'm not doing any glazing techniques, so
No,
not really a problem today.
I was just chatting with
With
Tifa.
with the peeps.
With Tifa.
Oh, hi.
And so she was asking about like how to start, like where to start with a brush, like specifically a cloud brush. And I was saying, it depends on whatever brush you're really good with. Maybe you should, look at a sponge, and then maybe your brights and filberts, and then work up to a cloud brush. So we've just been chatting about that. Do you want to talk about, you know, working on clouds and things?
Oh, to work on clouds?
Yeah, where would one start? What's a good place to start? I just want to kind of give you some back to what we've been saying here.
All right, here's what I would say to you. Clouds. Now I have some videos. If you go to our website, www.TheArtSherpa.com, and you search clouds, you should get a whole bunch of cloud related videos. Definitely
Cloud
catch
related
the
videos.
huh?
I like that, cloud related videos.
It may pull up some weird things. I don't know. It has some moments where all of a sudden you're like, what does the Bohemian elephant have anything to do with clouds? And you're like, I don't know. There must have been a tag.
We're working that out.
We're working it out. Go there, watch the two shorter ones. They're going to just talk about the way light impacts clouds.
Yep.
I did a big art quest one, but I really want to revisit this. Here's what I'll say. If you can get to Facebook, when? Next Tuesday?
Yeah.
Next Tuesday. I will do a class. So I did this thing, Technique Tune-Up, on Tuesday on Facebook. We go live, and at some point, get on the notifications, or you've got to follow us on Facebook. It's kind of hard to see these. You can watch them on the replay, though. And we'll, drill down into that because, yes, I love my cloud brushes, but my cloud brushes are actually a really good stiff scumbling brush, and that's what makes them magical. But clouds are even more than scumbling. So you can watch I have a whole video about these cloud brushes and an actual whole painting of making clouds with them. And you can watch that and see what I have to say about that. And then I have a bunch of videos that talk about the values of clouds. And it's not a lot of your life. These are all pretty short projects that you could do. You'd know a lot more about clouds. Once you've done that, come back and meet me Tuesday on Facebook. Anyone else is invited to. This isn't just a one-person invitation. Everybody's welcome to come. And I will show you how to do them with a sponge. I'll show you a bunch of different ways that you can do clouds, because right now I'm working on my cloud teaching process. So that'll be like a little test for me. How does that sound?
That sounds great. Everyone's like, "That's yes, yes."
All right. You guys come to Facebook. If you're in North America, sign up for the notifications. And if you're not in North America, but you have a friend who is, get them to agree to text you. I don't know. Or follow the page on Facebook, because it will also tell you. I know I have groups like Tribbles, but there's their Sherpa group. It's not there. No. It's the ArtSherpa page. And to the 30,000 people that just followed the page, hi! That was crazy.
Yeah, that was just like, well, hello.
Would you like to paint Facebook?
We would.
I guess they also wanted a Technique Tuesday because they signed up.
Uh-huh.
And we're over there a lot, actually, now. So definitely follow that page. All right. I literally talked so long the paint dried on my brush, and that is almost embarrassing. I'm going to have to...
So...
No, seriously, that's a little embarrassing, isn't it? I talked so long, the paint on my brush dried.
Well, I was,
Jeez.
I think it was Patty who said it best. The BAQ isn't just here about painting, but it's also about comedy and philosophy.
It is. The BAQ is our more we get informal about art formal stuff. Just to make it more fun.
I don't know if it's better to say we try to get formal occasionally.
Maybe. Occasionally. So right here, what I want you guys to focus on, and we're going to come and visit it a bunch soon, but you want to really focus on that there's a shadow here at the front of the foot, and watch the shadow here. So the shadow comes down, boom, 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 but it actually comes at an angle to this toe here. The outer part of this foot is back in sunlight, and there's a back heel and the back of the legs in sunlight, and there's a bit of sunlight here. There's a bit of sunlight around here, and then do you see this little bit of light right here?
Yeah.
Really just spend some time when you have the reference photo. You can find these to download off of our website on their project pages. But just really look at this right here and notice where you see light and where you see shadow. Getting this down, like that halo around her arm or what's happening in her hands, this becomes that beautiful, delicate, elegant path of painting.
Gotcha.
I gotta stop monologuing like a villain. I'm so funny.
Hmm. So,
I'm gonna back to my base mix, which is my lizard crimson and my yellow ochre. What is up with me? I'm so weird.
today has been brought to you by ADD.
Yes, I actually do have ADD. Sometimes I get people who are like, "What's wrong with you?" And I'm like, "Well, probably ADD if what you're upset about is the talking." I don't even get mad about it. I'm like, "That's cool. I talk. I know it. We know it."
That's, turn your turn your stuff into superpowers, man.
You are who you are. I've been on this thing about quiet cactuses saying, even prickly people deserve love because prickly people are awesome. Don't be afraid of your prickles,
Dude,
right? You're a thorny person. That's cool. You were made exactly how you need to be made. Nobody needs to make you feel bad about it.
what I would have to say is that having been on many teams, I see the value in all the different kinds of personalities that are out there.
Yeah,
Because when you have a bunch of diverse personalities on a team, man, that's something else.
it is. It's really special. And I always feel so sad when somebody's like, "What's wrong with me?" Whenever I hear somebody, even when I hear myself say it, I think we all say it. I always feel so bad when I hear somebody say, "What's wrong with me?" Because I just want to go, "Nothing, man." Like, like you're made exactly how you need to be in this world. I don't know what's going on in your life. I don't know what's happening, but you are who you need to be and who the universe needs you to be. That doesn't mean that we don't have to learn to use our personality traits in the right time in the right way. Like being a judgy person isn't necessarily bad if you know how to use judgment correctly. It's just when it's running away with you and you're mistakenly judging somebody, you know? But
Yeah.
that doesn't make it bad at all. Just like you just learn to balance what you've got going on and lean to your strength.
And man, different people, different personalities manage judgment differently.
Yeah.
So, for one person to approach a problem one way can be very detrimental, but for another person, it can be exactly the right way. So weird.
One thing I would say, and I'm working on this too now, so I'm not gonna sit there and be like I'm dipping in water and I'm working through the brush. I'm working on this too, so I'm definitely not throwing a rock through this glass house. Is that here's your happiness tip for the week. People will say, I feel like blah blah blah. I deserve blah blah blah.
Hmm.
The universe owes you nothing. People don't owe you anything. Anything that they do is a gift, right? Like so sometimes I think we feel like we're owed something. I know I've said that like I feel like what I feel like you should have known I was joking. But they didn't. It doesn't really matter what I feel like I was owed or blah blah blah. You just gotta be in the moment of where you're in and just be present because if you go through life expecting others to serve you what you're due, you don't know what's happening in other people's lives. You don't know what battle they're in. You don't know what they've got going on. You don't know where their true north is. And they may be giving you the very best they can, but it may not be what you expected it to be. So if you can let that expectation go, on the weeks I succeed at that, I am blissfully happy. At the weeks I don't, I'm so miserable.
Yeah.
So
I get it.
that's what I'm currently working on in my path to making life joyful and more meaningful. I'm going to add a little more Indian yellow to the skin tone that I've been processing through and lightening up.
Our path to enlightener.
Yep, that's what I'm working on.
You know,
Working on it. I want to be at peace in my life.
you know,
Enjoy my work. Sorry.
I, I don't need to know all the turtles, but I'd like to be on a first name basis with a few of them.
Right. just get better at it, right?
Yeah.
I don't think there's a one size fits all life out there, so I don't know. I'm just trying to let go of it. And it's a journey. Like some weeks I'm easily triggered and I go full John Wick, and some weeks I'm very mellow and I don't, and I can be present and connected and forgiving, and it's really down to all those other things I just mentioned, the battles that I'm in, how much work do I have on my shoulders? Am I under a lot of pressure? Is there a lot of history in a particular area? You know, is this an area I'm already feeling kind of wounded in? It's just that journey of self-discovery, isn't it? I think art's so helpful to that. Hopefully going to be helpful to the weird shadow around this lake that I just like gave a big lecture about paying attention to.
This is nice. I'm enjoying.
This was good, and oh wait, we got to get the shell, and then we got her done.
Oh, really?
Just the shell, and then we're good for today, and we'll have to meet back up. But I feel like we covered a lot, even though it's like really weird what we covered.
You would not believe how long we've been live.
I don't even tell me. Don't tell me, because I don't want to
tell you.
Don't. I'll feel bad.
No, you won't.
Okay.
56 minutes.
What? Am I getting some kind of internal clock going?
No, I think that time flies when you're having fun, and we've been chit-chatty.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, so it's been cruising right along. We've been doing good. Thank you guys for coming and hanging out with us, by the way.
I'm doing my alizarin crimson and my Indian yellow. I'm just trying to get some value into this. I'm just trying to get some value. Maybe I'm going to do my alizarin crimson and my yellow ochre. And I think I'm going to just make this a little more interesting as a shell, so that it's texturally more fascinating. I'm just taking my bright and I'm running these little spikes out. And they look a little awkward right now, but I don't care because they're going to be fine. I do care. I care about a lot of things. Actually, I think it's really cool to care. To be really honest, I think it's cool to care. A lot. Letting go of stuff and being mellow and present in the moment doesn't mean I don't care. It actually means I care so much. I'm learning to get over myself.
What is that little thing you're drawing, those spiky things?
Huh?
What is that spiky thing you're drawing?
It's her conch shell that she's calling her seals to her with.
A conch shell? Oh, it's so much smaller.
Okay, you guys want a bit of crazy wackadoo history of my life? I'm not sure if John even knows this. So my parents had a house out and nobody laughed, in the country of San Diego. It was in the 70s and 80s, there was country. I don't know how to explain this to you, but once there used to be a lot of undeveloped land, and there was a lot of acreage, and there was country, and we had horse property, and I would go out on my own adventuring in the creek system there, and so I could be 2-3 miles away, and my dad would have to call me in for lunch or whatever, and our house was on the hill, and my mom and dad had built this house themselves, and I mean that in the literal sense. Like, they cut wood and they built this whole thing, and I think the only thing they didn't physically do was hang the windows, and they weren't even allowed to by law, so they would have if they could have. Oh, and they had a student make the fireplace, but lay the floor, found it. I mean, they made this house. So my dad would get up to the top of the hill, and he had a big conch shell, and he could blow it. How could I be such a weird person? I don't even know how I got here. And he would, and I had like a time limit. By the way, yeah, I can do like a 15-minute miles again at a time limit.
We're going to say goodbye, so we'll be under our 59 minutes.
Okay, all right. I love you guys. Be good to yourselves. Be good to each other. Listen for the conch shell, and I want to see you at the Easel really soon. Bye-bye.